So instead of using a single disk for increased performance, so data redundancy or both. So what happens is, if the data redundancy is there, so at that time uh, the operating system consistency, we can say, or we can say the performance of the operating system will not be we will not be able to completely take out the thing from the operating system. So always, disk partitioning is very important. Next part is, disk or partition can be used raw, that is without a system file, or formatted with a file system. It means, without a file system, okay, it can be used. So partitions, also known as mini disks or slices, they are also called as mini disks. Entity containing file system, known as a volume. What happens is, in a file system, okay, the group of file system, you can call it as a particular volume. So each volume containing a file system also tracks that file system's info in a device directory or volume table of contents. So whenever we right click and click on the properties, we come to know what is the volume in that particular system, or what are the number of files, or what is the current existing property of that particular volume which has been partitioned. So this is already present, and this is always updated. So as well as general purpose file systems, there are many special purpose file systems, frequently all within the same operating system or computer. So even if it is a general purpose file system or a special purpose file system, all are stored within the same operating system. As you can see, a typical file system organization. So this, on your left side, whatever you see, this is a partitioned, a typical partitioned organization, wherein you can see a partition A and partition B, and these are the directories which are in the partition A and partition B respectively, and this is one disk, as you can see. And if you have another disk wherein a partition is a common partition is there, but some of the files are stored in disk 2 and some of the files are stored in disk 3. So even if it is partitioned, so the files are partitioned and they are stored in separate disks. It means the partition C entirely is shared by 2 disks. So operations performed on directory, basically you can search for a file, we can create a file, delete a file, we can list a directory, we can rename a file, and we can traverse the file system. How to organize a directory logically to obtain so efficiency? Yes, locating a file very quickly, that is very important. Efficiency can be achieved only by naming the files properly, which is convenient to users. We cannot just give any random name. It cannot be just a group of alphabets or numbers. It has to be a proper name and appropriate name according to that particular type of file or the data which is present in that particular file. So 2 users can have same name for different files. Yes, that is possible. The same file can have several different names. So grouping, you can say, so logical grouping of files by properties. Example is, if a .exe, that is executable file, is present, or the gaming related file is present, or a programming related file is present, all those can be grouped, or they can be sorted, just sorted by the properties. That is, either they are executable files, or they are document files, or they are text files. So based on the extension, based on the properties, they can be grouped. So there are various levels of directories. directory which is named A. uh, as we can see, the directories can have the same name. It means that the files also can have the same name. Efficient searching, yes, because if we type that, if we want to search for a directory, and if we go to this particular system and type data, so it will show us these two particular folders, or these two particular directories in which this data folder has been created. So searching becomes very, very easy. So next is no grouping capability. Obviously grouping is not required, because each and every user is assigned a separate directory, so we don't require actually uh, this particular concept called grouping. Coming to the next part, that is the tree structured directories. As you can see, uh, the tree structured directory, okay, this is the root. Okay, in this root we have these three particular users, okay, and only the three users are there, and in this no, these in this users we have again the subdirectories. As the name itself says that it is a tree structured directory, you can see here inside this particular directory, let us consider this root. Here we have a user named spell. In this spell we have three different directories. In that again this the mail is having again three separate directories, in which the prog, copy, prt and exp. This particular prog, copy, prt is having again subdirectories. This is like, let us consider example. We have a local disk C in which we have program files. In those program files we have the folders of the softwares which we have installed. Inside those folders we have again a different folders related to that particular software. So this is the best example of tree structured directories, wherein one particular main root directory, that is our local disk C, is used. Inside that local disk C we have program files. Inside the program files we have the folders which have been created based upon the softwares which we have installed. Let us take an example of Winamp. Winamp is a audio player. So when we go to local disk C, inside the program files we have a Winamp folder. Inside that Winamp folder we have various again folders which are related to the skins, the tags, the overall appearance, the themes. So each and every property which that Winamp is displaying on the screen, it is having a separate folder related to that particular property inside the root folder named program files and Winamp. So the tree structured directory, it reduces the chaos. It makes the path very easy. It makes the tracing of the file very easy, especially while searching for any particular file. That's what I was talking about. Grouping capability is there, okay, obviously, because the folders, the directory itself is made according to the type of attribute which is being used in the skin or in the theme which is being used by the software. As I had mentioned, okay, we can delete a file. Obviously, if you delete any file from that particular root folder, the operating system makes the software inoperative. So if we want to delete anything, directly uninstall the software. That is the only way to remove that particular file or software from the system. That's it, guys. Thank you for the patient listening. Wish you all a happy learning time, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you.